Tune in for a tale, words that set sail.
Digital Splendor, Literature Illuminated.
You know that fantasy, right? The one where you just quit your job, ditch all the noise, and escape. Just get away from it all to figure out what actually matters. Well, today, we're diving into the original I Quit to Find Myself story long before that was even a thing you could post on Instagram. We are talking about Henry David Thoreau and his legendary experiment at Walden Pond. I mean, let's be real. Who hasn't sat at a desk, staring at a screen, and just fantasized about packing one bag and disappearing into the woods for a while? It's this deep, fundamental human urge to simplify, to disconnect from all the chaos and maybe, just maybe, reconnect with ourselves. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Way back in 1845, before any of this was trendy, a guy named Henry David Thoreau decided to actually put that fantasy to the test. He wasn't just a dreamer, he went on did it. He built himself a tiny cabin, and for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days, he tried to live a totally different kind of life. It was all built on one core philosophy. So, what was the whole point of this? It wasn't just about, playing pioneer in the woods. Thoreau had this really powerful central idea he wanted to explore. He called it living deliberately. This quote right here, this is the heart of the whole project. He wasn't really running away from society so much as he was running toward a specific kind of experience. He wanted to strip away everything that was non-essential, to see what was left, to figure out what life was really all about at its core. So what does it mean to live deliberately? What's wild is just how modern this concept feels. It means you're in the driver's seat of your own life. You're not just going through the motions, living on autopilot, doing what you're supposed to do. You're actively, consciously choosing how you spend your time, your money, and your attention. Okay, so how did he actually do it? Well, his method kind of boiled down to these 4 things. 1, he observed the world around him, like really paid attention. 2, he simplified what he wanted down to the absolute basics, food, shelter, warmth. 3, he used solitude not as a punishment, but as a tool to think clearly. And 4, he really tried to rely on himself for his own needs. But, and trust me, this is a big but, that romantic picture we have of the lone woodsman totally cut off from the world, yeah, that's not exactly the whole story. The reality of his life at Walden Pond was, let's just say, a bit more complicated. Let's start with the location. We all picture him miles from civilization, right? Deep in the wild. The truth? His cabin was about a 20-minute walk from his family's home in Concord, Massachusetts. Not exactly the remote frontier. And a support system, well, it didn't stop there. This is where it gets really interesting. His mother would bring him food, and yes, she did his laundry for him. He wasn't some lonely hermit either. He had friends over for dinner all the time and would often walk into town to catch up on the latest news. Oh, and one more tiny detail. He didn't even own the land he was living on. It belonged to his very famous friend, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So you have to ask the question, right? After hearing all that, was the guy a total fraud? If he was getting his laundry done by his mom, does that just invalidate the whole experiment? Was he just playing dress up? Well, not so fast. To just dismiss him as a fraud is to kind of miss the entire point. The power of Walden isn't in its perfect, flawless execution. It's in the questions he was asking, questions that still resonate so deeply today. See, here's the crucial thing to remember. Thoreau wasn't trying out for a survivalist TV show. He was a philosopher, and this was a thought experiment that he was conducting on his own life. The goal wasn't to prove he could survive alone forever. It was to step just far enough outside of his normal routine to get a clear look at it and at himself. And this table right here illustrates perfectly why he feels more relevant now than maybe ever before. His famous call to simplify, simplify, well, that's the DNA of modern minimalism. His warning that our life is frittered away by detail. I mean, doesn't that sound like he's describing our lives full of notifications? He was basically the first guy to advocate for a digital detox. And his whole idea of valuing your time and freedom more than just making money, that's the bedrock of the entire FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. Think about it. For more than 175 years, these ideas haven't just stuck around, they've actually become more popular. Every time somebody decides to declutter their apartment or turn off their phone for a weekend, or rethink their career path, they're tapping into that same spirit of Walden. Which brings us to the final and I think most important part of all of this. It's not really about judging Thoreau's experiment. It's about figuring out what his experiment means for us, right here, right now. So, do you have to build a cabin in the woods to live deliberately? The answer is, of course not. That was his Walden. The whole point is that your Walden is going to look completely different. Most of us can't, and probably don't want to, move into a shack. But we can all apply the principle. And that's the big takeaway. Walden isn't a destination on a map, it's a mindset. It's the practice of stopping and consciously asking yourself, is this thing necessary? Is this adding any real value to my life? Am I doing this by choice, or am I just doing it out of habit? You can do that anywhere, in a city, in the suburbs, wherever you are. So I'll just leave you with this one question. It doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic gesture. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. But maybe it's just unsubscribing from a few dozen marketing emails, or deleting that one app you know wastes your time. What is one small detail in your life that you could simplify starting today?